Welcome to the Fat Cats Rugby Podcast, bringing you candid rugby conversations, great interviews and insights into Ugandan rugby, and a touch of rugby in Africa and the world over. Fat Cats Rugby Podcast is a product of Fat Cats Media brand for all your audio-visual content needs and equipment hire. Hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to the Fat Cats Rugby Podcast. Yet again, we're here. Ruben Kihumuro is my name, and as usual with Edwin. And today we have, I should say, a very, very distinguished guest. Someone that has really impacted our rugby journeys in one way or the other. He has been our coach. But I should say his name is Herbert Wafula. And as I always say, I'm not in the business of introducing people with their particular titles. So I'll let Herbert give us his long array of titles and honors that you might have. But Herbert, welcome to the Fat Cats Rugby Podcast.
Thank you very much, Ruben. It's my first time here, and I'm very happy to be part of the Fat Cats Rugby Podcast. Well, my name is Herbert Wafula. I've been in rugby for a long time as a player, coach at different clubs, different countries, and also an administrator. Currently, I'm a fan and also a columnist of the game.
Yeah, that's great. Like I said, Herbert was our coach, myself and Edwin while we were at Warriors. I don't remember what year that was. Do you remember the year, Edwin?
Was it 2013, 14, around there?
Yeah, I think it was that. We were still putting on the pink jerseys at the time, pink boy rugby. Yeah. But there's a lot to talk about. And Herbert, you're here on what is our first segment of what we call In Our Days. We have this notion of so many of the veteran players. People say that, they're just people complaining about things from their day. But we feel like it's an important part of the game. And they can really educate us about many of the things that were in their days, the good, the bad, so that we learn what we need to maintain, what we also need to maybe polish up on. But we'll get into that later. Before we get into Herbert's journey and everything, let us first look back at Sunday, the Rugby Africa Cup. You gave Kenya the win against Namibia. We had Bruno as well, he a fellow fat cat who gave Kenya. I was very shocked that you guys actually had so much confidence in Kenya like that against the seasoned side that's Namibia. But what are your thoughts from the weekend and what happened in what again was a media blackout for Uganda, or the teams that did make the final? What were your thoughts about that, the score that you saw, 36-0?
Well, I'll stick with my pick. I trusted Kenya to win. Unfortunately, they didn't. Basically, Kenya didn't play. They had so many handling errors, so many unforced errors that kind of hampered any build-up of momentum. In the game they played against Algeria, I think in the semis, they really picked up momentum when they were behind, and they came back consistently and managed to chase the game. And I think even when we discussed last week, our main issue was how will Kenya get that chase back into the game in the event that they are behind. And my strategy was that they need to come out guns blazing from the minute 1 to 80. But unfortunately, you noticed, I remember we had our event over the weekend on Sunday, but when you checked the game, someone came and told me, hey, you mean it's still 0-0? You mean Kenya has held on for this long? So everyone had their doubts. But I stuck with my pick. I still stick with my pick. Kenya didn't come out to play very well. They scrummaged well. They had their lineouts quite well. I believe they put up a good show, especially the scrums. Their forwards managed to scrum 1, 2, 3, and then even 16, 17, and 18 when they came on, they all scrummaged well. But when it came to the open play, man, should I mention that left-footed whiz of a kick? So it just shows you that has sum up everything for Kenya. They just didn't play, and it cost them bitterly.
Yeah, I think that clip is going viral on the Fat Cats social media, especially the Twitter, of Colin Jera what some guy said was, he called it something in Uganda, which is very funny. It's skipping my mind now, but it was really a comical thing to see from a legend. But it just shows that he also bleeds. That he's human, actually. Herbert, your thoughts on the weekend, Kenya's performance, and also Uganda fighting with Ivory Coast? What does that say about us?
Well, let me go back to the Kenya game. Edwin, you're a very brave man. Now, I'm saying that with the benefit of the hindsight right now. I wanted also Kenya to win. Somebody different to go to the World Cup finally. But it happened. There are two classes apart. There's no excuses. In fact, there are some Kenyans who are blaming Uganda somewhere.
That's just what I was going to say. Like, somehow in the crossfire of the Kenyan frustration, Uganda came into the picture. That we keep playing Uganda. Uganda is putting our level down. We're like, wait, you guys handle your own issues with Namibia.
Yes. Yeah.
But is there any truth in what they say? Because it also happened that I think a few years back, I think Steve Hansen for New Zealand, there's a time when they went into a losing streak and they were playing, I think, against South Africa and all. And then all of a sudden he blamed Australia. That the reason we are losing is we're not getting worthy competition from Australia. And Australia is the side that plays New Zealand the most. Yes. Do you think there's any truth in that in regards to Uganda and Kenya?
There's no truth there. Kenya has a bit more resources than we do, and that's why they could afford to play in the Currie Cup. We can't. So the Currie Cup could have been a better preparation platform for this World Cup than Uganda. When did we last play Kenya? It's almost 12 months ago, our last test match. Kenya has played more games after that. So it can't be Uganda problem. Somebody was just frustrated and tried to look for something to blame, someone to blame.
After 36-0, definitely you have to be frustrated. But yet again, Namibia is going to be going to the Rugby World Cup. Kenya is going to be going to the repechage. But the repechage is another bloody war, I should say. You're from playing a tournament, let's say in a space of a week. You played a game on Sunday, you play a game on Wednesday, then you play again on Sunday. Now you have to maybe rest a bit. You have an Elgon Cup coming up. Then you have repechage playing some of the best teams from other continents in the world. Africa has never really performed well on top of the so many injuries that come out of that. Do you think Kenya's quality at the moment has a chance to come out on top for that spot in the World Cup?
Well, I'm seeing some of the opponents that are likely to meet. There are teams like Tonga, there's the USA, and I think Chile.
Wow.
So I really think Kenya will finish last in that group.
Wow.
The Africa Cup is a notch lower than the repechage to me.
Isn't Falau part of the Tonga team?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because it also just paints the bigger picture that even Namibia, which is a powerhouse when it comes to Africa, bar South Africa, of course, when they have never won a Rugby World Cup game. What does that say about African rugby?
Man, it's daunting, to say the least. I think we need to have more games as a continent amongst the countries in the continent. Maybe in the lawyer field there is what they call the mining in Daba in South Africa, where lawyers who are familiar with mining and energy and the like go and have a camp there and discuss ideas, how to projections in the industry and the like. Maybe South Africa needs to have an equivalent of that in for rugby, African nations. I think, I don't know, maybe I can put this back to you. Do you think having a rugby Africa president who is maybe from South Africa would be an advantage to anyone? I don't know if there's ever been one. We will check our records and confirm. But you see, there needs to be a deliberate attempt to grow rugby beyond the Namibias of this world. If Kenya had not invested money to say that they have a chance to go for this World Cup, I mean, they dedicated everything and put in all their finances to go to the Curry Cup. They even played the Challenge Series in 2021, and they played Brazil and whatever.
Yes.
So it shows you that if countries themselves don't make deliberate attempts to develop their game, they are more like abandoned. You understand?
Yes.
I mean, we're going to check all these things, but do we have performance quotas for Rugby Afrique? Do we have criteria that is set? Should you have this level of coach if you're this tier one kind of nation that is playing rugby? If you're finished fifth for Uganda's case, who is supposed to coach you? Is it supposed to be a foreigner? Is it a local? Should he have this level of qualification? Do we keep on having site inspections to just see if you're following the Rugby Afrique standards of operating in the game? I think those are key things that need, if our game is to grow. I mean, every day Namibia plays in the Rugby World Cup later on, we'll have to support them to see if they can show that our game is growing. But the group they're also in is one of those groups where you have to endure a lot of big hits and late tackles when someone is scoring. So for Africa's story, rugby-wise, is a little bit daunting. It's one of those things that needs to be looked into as a federation in charge of rugby in Africa. Rugby Afrique, in addition to sorting out their issues with media blackouts and the like, they need to go deep down into administration and get as many countries playing. Because look, compare it with football. Football is that person who always used to compare different games, but you could see that Uganda will consistently play different countries, but Uganda will keep on playing Kenya and the like. So unless there's a tier tournament, we never have friendlies with any other nations. And I think it's key. When did we last play Morocco? I think we played them when Kwesi was still on board in Uganda and the like. So we need more countries to play against and benchmark ourselves against some of them.
Anything else to submit on that, Herbert?
Just add one thing. Africa Rugby, all the presidents have been from the Maghreb.
Oh,
all of them. We have never had an Anglophone president. So we've never had a South African, a Namibian, Zimbabwean heading the Africa Rugby. It's all about French-based people.
And I wonder why that is, because surely for the time that Carr has been around,
since 86.
And only Francophone presidents, isn't that something we can say that is so focused on only those kind of countries? That people in the South, in East Africa, how are we benefiting? Because we feel like you said, right now, the right person that would really have for president should be from South Africa, because at least there's something that is done, tested. They're number one. Okay, right now they're number 2 in the world, but they are a multiple World Cup winning side. They have their systems in place. So surely shouldn't the current, or at least one, there should have been a president from South Africa, I think.
There's a very big divide in Africa among the Anglophones and the Francophones. And I remember some time back when Aziz was still president of Africa Rugby, they tried so much to bring on board Francophone countries. So countries like Burundi were being fast-tracked instead of Tanzania. And I see the potential which Tanzania has compared to Burundi. Yeah. Burundi are Francophone, Tanzania Anglophone. Those kind of things. And up to now, Africa Rugby, most of the majority members are Francophones. Oh. It is intentional. But when you look at the performance, the top 4 are Anglophones. In 7s, 15s, Anglophones.
I think from what I just saw in the current rankings for 15s in Africa, I think the only Francophone would be Algeria.
The African rugby, that is the Africa Cup ranking.
Yes.
But in the World Rugby ranking, there's something in the 70s there. Right.
Oh. Okay. Well, anyway.
May I just add one more thing. I think also at this point you could say maybe Uganda needs to make its stride forward in regards to leadership at Rugby Afrique. if I'm not mistaken, we have had 2 vice presidents. There's
Yes.
been Paul Sigombe,
Yes.
and then there is Andrew War. So
Yes.
I don't know what the rule is for the president to be removed. Maybe we can exercise a coup. We just do a coup and we become president. But I think Uganda now we should have one of our candidates run for president.
Well, Mr. Sigombe,
Yes.
he tried a coup against Aziz. And, it didn't end well for them. Andrew seems to be has learnt some lessons, and he's a very good man, a very good vice president.
Clearly, politics is not a fair or an easy game, regardless of whether it is leading a country or leading a sport. But before we go into our next segment of the podcast, I'd just like to appreciate our venue sponsors, Fred and Winnie A&B. You can be able to find them in Bukuto Kisasi. Here we shall be having the details running. Very, very serene place, very comfortable. For all your, are you traveling? Do you need a home away from home? It's very, very welcoming and very peaceful and serene. So just tell them that the Fat Cat sent you, and you will be able to get a lot of offers. But check them out and really enjoy this lovely, lovely space. Yeah, so guys, as we're jumping into the next thing, before we go into Herbert's journey, a little bit about the international test over the weekend. I see you comfortably dressed in your Wallabies jersey. After that loss, I don't know why you'd be putting it on. I hid my England jersey after that first loss to Australia, which I think was pathetic. But somehow it looks scripted. Test 1 for all the July series went to the Southern Hemisphere. Test 2, which was this previous weekend, went to the Northern Hemisphere across the board, from Scotland in Argentina to Wales in South Africa to England and also Ireland, which is in New Zealand. It looked a bit scripted for that, now it's 1-1 across the board, and with this weekend coming, that means it's going to be a go big or go home. Who's winning the test to make it 2-1? What are your thoughts about Australia, and what do you think is going to happen the weekend? Do you think your boys can be able to come back to beat the mighty England rugby team?
Well, I believe Australia is good enough to beat England. I think what happened in the second test, coaches tried to give a chance to other players. Like I saw South Africa, they changed some players. And right now, the squad which they have named for the third and final test is just too powerful, too different. Well, somebody had hinted on social media, I think it was Helen.
Yeah.
Something about it could be a marketing ploy for the final tests.
Yeah.
It'll go 1-1, so people are more eager and the grounds will get more packed.
Yeah, I think that would make sense from a marketing standpoint, that you have it 1-1. People are a lot more interested and are eager to watch over the weekend than saying South Africa was too up against Wales. Welsh fans would not be that interested in it. But you say that the team that South Africa is fielding over the weekend is very powerful.
Yes.
But let's look at it. The first test when they fielded a similarly powerful side, it was still a 2-point game, 1-point game, if I'm not mistaken, to South Africa. So maybe we also underestimate Wales a little bit. Yes, this previous weekend they might have fielded a side that was a bit of, let me say, try and error. Let's try out these boys and see if they can handle the pressure. But Wales is also actually standing up, getting its first ever win in South Africa, but also showing that even they can still compete. And I honestly want to say I believe Wales might get the win on the weekend.
Mane. Let's understand a few things.
The Springbok fight is coming out.
The marketing has been done. 1-1. We're going to shatter Wales' dreams. I will not come back on this podcast with 2 wrong predictions. I am telling you anyway. Look, the team is strong. They have put back our solid players. We are going to finish strong. Faf is on the bench, so that's a sign that we want to finish. The bomb squad of forwards on the bench are there. So I don't know what Wales has in terms of resurgence in the second half when you want to replenish the formation on the pitch. But trust me, good luck getting rid of Malcolm Max, Vincent Koch, and Steven Kitsoff, and then Faf to just frustrate you when you're trying to chase a game. So good luck to Wales. They will need it.
Well, me, I believe this South African team, it's very good at winding out wins. Whether it is a 1 point or a 2 points win.
A win is a win.
A win is a win.
Well, anyway, you guys can be able to catch the international series, the July series, or from wherever you are. Visit a rugby ground next to you. Maybe it could be Kings Park, it could be Legends, or anywhere, or even the comfort of your home. Just go to the Super Sport Rugby channel and watch the games. The games start all the way from the morning, so there's a lot of action to happen. There is no reason for you to miss out. Just make sure that you have your Saturday calendar cleared out so that you do not miss any bit of the action. It's going to be thrilling regardless of which side, and better if you're a neutral. So just looking at the Challenger Series, as the groups had just come out for the Sevens, the World Rugby Sevens Challenger Series. We are in Pool C with Germany, Uruguay. Germany is the side we usually lose to for some reason. Uruguay, somehow the results are always there. Then we have Lithuania in our group, and just to maybe paint a picture for those that don't know about the Challenger Series, this is an opportunity for Uganda maybe to qualify for core status of the HSB Sevens. That is if they can be able to go all the way and win it. They only take one team. So what do you think our chances are this time?
That's a very hard call. Well, but
I mean, we are coming from a triumph in winning another Rugby Africa Sevens title, and the boys seem to be training really hard at their best fitness. Many of them have even put on, they have bulked up, but in a very good way. They are very lean, they're very fit, and they're very disciplined. You don't hear any scandals, so I think we should maybe try to back them.
Okay, I think let's go back and let's start with the Commonwealth Games first. I think the minimum we should be expecting Uganda right now at this stage to get out of the pool and advance in the main cup. It has never happened for us.
All right.
Which means we have to take out Kenya, Jamaica at a minimum, and Australia if it's a good day. From there, we can start looking at the Challenger Cup. Challenger Cup, with the progression we have been having since the African Cup, hopefully we are at a stage whereby we can now be able to beat teams like a German, which we have never beaten before.
Okay. Your thoughts about the Challenger
Me,
Series?
for the Challenger Series, realistically, I would be very comfortable with the semi-final appearance. I think I would be very comfortable with that. Not to say that I'm not impressed with the work they have done in terms of growing the Sevens and showing that they can compete at the highest level. But I think realistically our best shot is to reach the semi-finals of the World Challenger Series. Lithuania, have never played them before. I don't think we have, so this will be a first. Uruguay, we played them in the 2018 World Cup. I think we played them in the 1920 playoff spot, and if I'm not mistaken, I think that is the game where the record of the fastest try scored by Uganda is, because it was a kickoff. We won the kickoff. James Odong, wherever he is, salute. He got the ball and then he offloaded to Timothy Kisiga and he scored a try in like roughly maybe 15-30 seconds. So I think, save for maybe this tournament we had where I think our first game we scored immediately, but I think it's running for the fastest try Uganda has ever scored. We scored some good tries, but we also conceded quite many points against Uruguay. I think one of those games where you're leading and then you're like, let's relax a bit, and it was the last game everyone had to play. So I think that game ended 38 or 36-21, something like that. So Uruguay is not new opposition. but that doesn't mean they're going to maintain their standards of last time. I'm sure they have had strides in their game, and they have ability to turn up the heat when called upon. Germany, from the times we used to go to Hong Kong, the videos are even there on YouTube. You just see it's just another level that we can't manage. But with the growth we have had,
Yes.
I would really be interested in watching that game.
Yes, exactly.
I'd really be interested in watching that game, because that is the key game that is going to show how far we have gone. Forget even what happens in the Commonwealth. Forget. The pitch may be dry for whatever Kenya's sake they have prayed for, and then they may fluke one or conversion in, conversion out. Forget that. Me, it's the game against Germany that is going to be the key test. Because, man, Kenya, with all due respect, have already beaten you. You can't take that away from us. So the key thing is that game against what? Germany. That is, I think, if I was the coach, that would be my key yardstick to see how far I've brought the rugby sevens from all those qualifiers we have played up to now. Winning Africa Cup, going for Commonwealth, World Cup in the month after. That is the key test I'm going to use to see. And remember, the perennial Hong Kong, Papua New Guinea, those other sides. So we have to also, South Korea, we have to be mindful of that. We need a good position seeding wise, so that we can the next day we can turn up the heat on one of those countries as well.
Yeah, definitely about that. But I think there's a lot of rugby and there's a lot to benchmark on, especially for both 15s and 7s in the coming months. Of course, definitely we have the Elgon Cup this month, home and away. We have the Challenger Series. We have the Commonwealth Games. We have a Rugby World Cup 7s coming up as well. So there's a lot of rugby. If you're a Ugandan fan, you are really in a good place to enjoy yourself. And this is, I think, the perfect time for us to see how to include or to attract new fans to the game and get people to really align with rugby in Uganda. Like we had spoken in the previous podcast about going to some places and people didn't even know rugby or what rugby was. But after the Rugby Africa Sevens triumph here in Kampala, there was really a lot of awareness through the social media. Credit to Niall Special and the photographers and the influencers and also the fans of the game that really put out a positive light for the game. And I think it will be another opportunity. So like you said, I think it's great if we can be able to get out of the group. That will be able to enhance, and also for the coaches to be able to benchmark and see how far we have gone. Yeah, on drier pitches this time. In the Commonwealth, when we meet Kenya, hopefully we can be able to really silence them. Yeah, I'm sure they also want to settle a score, but we'll be ready for that game. But anyway, moving away from all that and getting into today's conversation for our segment in our days. Herbert,
Yes.
I don't know, I had already saying this. Yeah, you're very welcome, and you're usually very, very knowledgeable about rugby. So I just want us to go through your journey from how it began. Maybe you can just give us a little bit of a narration, and maybe we'll interject here where we remember something, because I have a lot of memories with you, and Edwin has his own memories that he has to share. But how did you get into this game, a game that you love so much right now?
Well, it's a journey which started a long time ago. I remember when I was a kid in primary, my uncle one time came and picked me from home, and he took me for a rugby game at Barclays at Roraka Road in Nairobi. That uncle happens to be a man called Paul Sigombe. He took me for a game, but I was more interested in eating the pilau than watching the games. So years later on, when I went to secondary school at Upper Hill School, I started playing rugby. And in my second year, jumped into the first team of the school. In my Form 3, made the Kenya schools combined.
That's interesting.
Although our tour to the UK, we never materialized. We didn't have the money. The Kenya Rugby Union. At the time I was a Kenyan. With a Kenyan passport.
Before you saw the light.
Yeah. So I just want you to paint for us a picture of, first of all, before we even go any further, just to let the people that maybe just see you around and are not sure what you used to play, what positions were you playing?
Well, I started off as a lock at school. Okay. Later on, by Form 2, I was moved to flank. And Form 1, we were playing the second team of the school. That time, most of the schools had a second team that they would play each other. Later on, moved to the 8th man. When I came to Uganda, I moved to fly half.
Wow.
And later on, obviously, played fullback for Uganda, fly half, first center, and later on, as a flanker. Retired as a flanker.
How does a lock turned flanker transform into a fly half? I want to understand that. Was it that in Uganda we lacked fly halves, or I don't know, how did that happen?
There was a time just before I came to Uganda, I played for Impala.
Okay.
And Impala had been moved to a flanker. I was number 7, and I was so much involved with the movements of the backs and stuff like that. I had a very good fly for that time in Impala. So I picked up a lot of lessons. Later on, I come back to Uganda. I noticed there was a gap. There's a lot which was missing, control of the game and stuff like that. We had, I think, only Kasasa was a fly half. Other guys, I think, were trying to learn the art and everything. So I came here, played, and later on, when I joined the Cobs, I was moved to fullback. Kasasa had to remain 10. The following year, I moved to Impis and continued to fly from there. And the rivalry just grew up from there.
Why did you have to move from Cobs to Impis at the time? Maybe just to put a time cap on this, which year was that?
I joined Impis in 98.
Okay.
97, I played for Cobs. 97 is the age of Cobs. Was the first club to go the full season unbeaten in any competition in Uganda.
Okay.
But now in the following year, I joined campus. And when I used to be in Kenya, my favorite team was Mean Machine. So I also dreamt one time I'd play for Mean Machine. Unfortunately, I came to Uganda, and our campus team was also struggling. That time, I think Impis finished 4th in 97. That time it was struggling because they had won the league in 96.
Okay.
So they approached me. It didn't take much for me to move to another club where I could now go and play fly half.
In the top at that time, how many teams were in the top league?
The league had 6 teams only.
6 teams. Yeah. Okay. And what would a person who is really a competitor and a winner, why would you want to leave Cobs to go to a struggling team at the time?
Well, it is about as I told you, the playing position.
Yeah.
I really wanted to play my number 10 jersey, yes.
Okay.
I was very good at organizing and planning the players around me, and we did very well. We lost the league.
Good old days. There was no beer, no allowance. It was about what you want to play. Should go back to those days.
And we played well. We finished second. In fact, we lost the league on the last day of the league 2 years in a row to Cobs.
Wow.
That was Impis that time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just interesting to see. So anyway, transitioning now, you have moved from Cobs to Impis. How do you get into the national team setup, and how do you now become a mainstay there? Because at some point you even become captain. So just walk us through that journey.
I first played for the national teams. It was 97 when I was still in Cobs. I was a fullback for Uganda. That first test we played against Cobs, that's the team we call the Originals. The first time Uganda was playing under the Uganda flag. The previous history, 1957, 56, I can't remember. It was under the Union Jack. So these are the Originals. The first time we were playing under the flag of Uganda. So I was on that team, 97. Our captain was Adrian Bukenya, the youngest captain of Uganda Cranes ever. That time was, I think, 18, 19, I can't remember.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. So, did you write? You know, we have a very big challenge with stats in Uganda and keeping our records. Do you maybe recall how many caps you made for the country?
At one point, I was the leading player with caps in Uganda. By the time I retired, I had 11 caps only.
Okay.
By that time, I had the highest.
All right.
So other players who have been in the south overtook us, and it was a good thing. It is for the growth that are good for the game. We need to get more and more people getting more caps.
Okay. What would ideally be your most notable moments as a Uganda national team player and captain?
Definitely, it was on the 5th October 2002 in Nairobi when Uganda first beat Kenya. That one, it was the first time we beat Kenya, and the following year when we lost the game to Kenya, it was a surprise to us. How could we do such a thing? These guys were now taken charge of them, were in charge of them. They fear us, but they came and won. We lost that game because of some missed penalties in the dying minutes. We had some penalties, and we missed them, which were very kickable. The late Robert Segui had changed his kicking style. They adopted the Wilkinson style.
The power of television.
Yes. And because the previous year, when we first beat Kenya, we were leading 15-0 first half, courtesy of his boot. He had put in 5 penalties.
Wow.
And that is the biggest match you ever led against Kenya up to date.
Yeah. Robert Seguya, may his soul continue to rest in peace, a very, very great servant of the game. Edwin, do you have any interjections at this point about Herbert's journey thus far, or anything you'd like to maybe ask or know? Just bringing into this conversation.
So the first game I ever watched was your captain. The first game I think I ever watched Uganda rugby. My actual first interaction with rugby.
Interesting.
Wow.
Was I remember I had a screenshot of that New Vision article. New Vision, you can check the articles. They always have these things when you put a year or something. I think it was either 2002, 2003. There was a time Uganda was playing football at Nambole, and at the same time they were playing at Kampala Rugby Club at the time, now Legends. My brother Anthony took me there with my other brother Timothy, and guys, we don't know what the game is, and I think at the time he was playing rugby at the time, so he just said, you guys just stand here, see what's going on, and me watch the game. Like, imagine any of us taking some young kids to the game.
Yeah.
So that was my first interaction. I think it was Cameroon. All I can remember was Uganda won the game, and then their flyer, who was white, was kicking the tin that was of Nomi or something like that. It looked like a Nomi kind of tin or something like that, but the labels were off and whatever. So that's how they were kicking. So that was my first interaction with rugby. And then imagine my shock, like years later, the man is my coach. So it shows you that for the game to grow, people always need to have that first interaction. I think it's important that many people, I think you heard what he said, his first interaction about rugby was that he thought he was going to eat pilau. So me, I was like, what am I doing here? And you can never forget your first time. So that's something that's very key about rugby, and how it continuously grows on you as a person, and then how it can impact your life and what. So maybe you could tell us how you eventually became captain, from being led by Adrian Kenya to now you becoming captain.
Well, Adrian, after he captained the team in '97, briefly after that, he went to the USA to continue his studies. And that time, our noisy neighbors never used to respect us like doing it right now. We went for 3 years preparing for test matches against them, and on the last minute, they would cancel, pull out.
They were cowards.
We just pull out. They would claim.
You guys are.
They would claim for '97. The next game test match we played was in 2001.
Okay.
So '98 no games, '99 no games. No, it was how am I counting them? It's 2001, and that's the time now we had the World Cup qualifiers for the 2003 World Cup, and we were pulled against Zambia and Cameroon. We beat Zambia at Chadondo. We lost badly to Cameroon in Douala, 17-0. That year, the captain was John Musoke. He was a flyer for me, was first center at that time. When we came back, we had so many questions and all that stuff, the team structure. So many things changed. A new coaching board came in on board. And the following year, I was also surprised I was named as a captain. Robert Seguya was the vice captain at that time. The head coach was Yayiro Kasasa, assisted by Stephen Ojambo and Mike Gegwin.
Oh, okay.
So it was a surprise. I mean, I just worked hard, wanted to make the team, the starting team.
Okay, and then transitioning into coaching. Now maybe that you have you were national team captain, then you led the country, you had your triumphs, you had your high moments, you had your low moments, and maybe you retire. So at what point did you really want to be a coach?
Well, I started coaching when I was still in Kenya.
Okay.
At school, we had also some challenges at school. A very big school playing in a Prescott Cup like Upper Hill didn't have a coach. So it has the old players who are coaching. Blackboard session, all that stuff. Picking from our memories from the older guys what they taught us. Even before I came here to Uganda, I had a chance to coach the Moi Air Base rugby team. These are soldiers.
Okay.
I was basically coaching men who were older than me and they carry guns.
So imagine how you did that, having been one of the people you've coached and seeing your style of coaching, where sometimes, especially when you feel like your point is not being picked up, you get really aggressive about it. I wonder how you did that with those older army men.
It was obviously after that time was much young and mellow.
Okay.
I hadn't yet probably played at a higher level than I'd played later on when I was coaching you guys when we were at Warriors. That was a different scenario. With experience later on when I came also to Uganda, we play and I was at Impies. We also were coaching ourselves. That Impies team which finished second twice in a row, it was coached by me and Peter Magona. Magona was in charge of the forwards, I was in charge of the backs.
Wow.
So it started just in the process. And later on, we both also became coaches at a national level.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I think there's something that I've also just remembered. My first interaction with club rugby training was under your coaching. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, Form 4, my S4 VAC. That was, I think, around, should I give out how old, how young I am? I think that was around 2009. And then I'm like, I have S4 VAC, what am I doing with it? So I come for COBS training, and I joined the box ranks, try and train and be a part of it. And I think you were the coach at the time. You were preparing the team, and box you'd usually give the opposition against COBS, and that wasn't also a funny situation. But I think that was my first experience of really being coached by you. So I don't know what, looking back at coaching now that you're a fan, what did you learn? What do you think you could have done better? What do you think you ingrained in the people that you coached? Do you have any of them still come back and ask you for tips, maybe appreciate you, maybe just to look back at your journey as a coach and maybe just highlight some of your biggest achievements coaching? And maybe also one thing before I forget, to just take us through the CV of coaching, the teams that you have coached as well.
Well, let me start with the CVs. I've coached 5 different clubs in the Premiership: Impies, COBS, Pirates, Warriors, and Rhinos. It's a record, some sort of record. And also coached Rwanda and Uganda rugby teams. I think my biggest achievement as a coach at one point was 2004 on Uganda Sevens. We beat France in Dubai. It was a big thing, and first time Uganda rugby. I made it on the front pages.
That's all done. We beat France?
Yes.
Wow.
We beat France 2004.
You don't have those records?
Dubai.
We never have any records in
This is the first time I'm hearing about this.
Oh, that's great. I actually didn't know about
I didn't know about that. Wow. Okay.
Didn't know about that. But
So
that's-
biggest club
Do
today.
you remember the team that's...
I remember Matthias Ocho was just coming in. We had Ronald Takome, Alan Musoke, Robert Seguya. Trying to remember other faces. And, it was a solid team.
Wow.
It was a solid team. I remember Matthias Ocho mainly because of at one point he wanted me to substitute him and I refused. He was tired.
This thing says
He was tired holding on his knees. So I told him, you first look at the French guys, and he saw 3 French guys also holding their knees. And he went back willingly. He had some motivation.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, I think it's something that that you like to do.
Yeah.
You feel like you can push the players beyond their limits, and I think that's great sometimes to have someone that is going to believe in you even when you feel like you're done. That you can, that having a coach or having a mentor that can still tell you that, you know what, that you can still push. You have an extra mile to go, one more, let's say 1 more meter, 2 more hours or something like that. Even in training, your trainings were not the easiest, but I think at that time we really were in good shape. Yeah, I don't know, Edwin, if you
I
have any
remember
other memory.
that semi-final we played against Rams. The circuit, it was a 7th circuit. Yeah, I know you're all wondering. I played 7s once, a long time ago. We were playing Rams and it was 5-5. I scored the try for Warriors, by the way, FYI. And the game went into extra time and we're all dying on the field. And I look at the bench, I tell Habo that, man, sub. Guys like, no, play. What happens? Richard Lumu gets the ball. He runs. He's going to score. Kevin McBoat chases the guy. When he enters the 22, he's about to enter the 5. And he, for one reason or whatever, he pulls his hamstring. So the guy couldn't run. I think he kicked the ball out and then we entered into a shootout.
Yes.
We drew the shootout. It was a draw. And then we won by a toss of the coin. That's how we entered our first final. We even never got a medal, but anyway.
Yeah,
It's alright. It's alright.
That was a final. That was a
No, that was the
final.
semi-final.
Not a final.
Then the
We won the
final
final.
was against Uganda Select. So they technically said Warriors
Yes,
has
Warriors.
won the circuit. Yeah, so that game against Uganda Select, man, guys were beaten and bruised. We never got medals, but yeah, at least Warriors won a circuit.
That was our first circuit.
I'm just shocked that you won a coin toss.
I've been at the wrong end.
We have
That's
had
my coin,
some very painful moments against a SMAC while playing for Namiriango. You'd never win a coin toss against SMAC for some weird reason, and I'm surprised when he says that he actually won a coin toss. Congratulations!
You know the most important thing in SMAC was the top player, the coach, and the coin. If the SMAC
going
bus
to be
reached like what's that, Chibuya roundabout, and the coin was not on the bus, they would go back and get it.
Are you serious? I like your coin.
We never beat SMAC in any toss of the coin. I think I've been in like 2 games. We lost all. Those guys had luck. This was unprecedented. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so as we are coming to the end of this, I think I have about 2 questions, if I'm not mistaken. I'm looking as a fan right now. First of all, how is it? Is it weird for you being a fan? Personally, I'm having a bit of a challenge, especially when the league is going on. Not being a player, it sometimes you feel like it's awkward. How does it feel for you to be a fan right now, having served the game so much like that?
Well, I think just to be, I feel like any other fan. I guess I don't know. For many years, I've been watching, playing, coaching, team manager, doing all these things, administrative. I was Last time I was secretary at Pirates. And at the time, we just need to take time back and go and join the fans. Like during the Africa Sevens, at the time I held Eddie's Chwanuka's hand and I told him take me to the stands. I also wanted just to feel the chat and all that stuff. Things we never used to do as a player. So it's just something also new, a learning curve. And I support the fans. When the fans know, former captain is also around here, I think it lifts them somewhere. You can come and cheer our team. And it was particularly the game between Uganda and Tunisia. The second game we played. It was a bit tough from the start, and later on, we poured through.
Yeah, that's great. And I think my last question to you would be, looking back in general at your career, what is your biggest achievement and maybe your biggest regret?
Regrets, I don't know. Achievements are so many. I don't know which one.
Two. Or what you'd rank as your top two. I don't know if you have that.
As an admin myself, the time I was a country rugby manager, we won the African Cup. That was something big for me. As a player, winning the Safari Plate was a big thing that time. Till recently, when now teams are now doing it regularly, Uganda teams and all that stuff. As also coaching level, being the first first coach to take our women's team outside East Africa, our men's sevens team outside Africa. I think it's something good because with time, I've managed to mentor other people who come in, who are players that time, and later on also being the first RB educator for coaches in East Africa. Wow. So we've dealt with many coaches. Most of the current coaches we have, they have passed through our system somewhere.
Okay, that's nice.
So I think that is a very big achievement for me. Those three.
Edwin, do you have any last submissions for Herbert?
I want you to tell us, I know you mentioned a few, but some of the players you played with, and like if they told you need a team to fight for your life, which team of guys you'd pick?
That's
like
amazing. That's
not I mean, you can't mention all the 15, but if you could, we would be very glad.
I would love them to mention the 15. That's just amazing.
Which team I played for?
No, I'm saying your career.
Your ideal select.
Your ideal 15.
Yes.
And well, we want first to know the players you played with. I mean, you mentioned Sam, Peter, Magona, and the like. We want to know as many. And then if you could give your 15, or let's even say 7.
I played alongside some great players. In the 2002, when I was captain, I was, I don't know how to say it. I was blessed to have this very talented team around me. From look at the props, we had Fred Mudola, Brian Makalama, the Locks, the late Ujumba, the late Gasson Onono.
Yeah.
The hooker was Adom Mutwaire, the late also now. Robert Seguya was number 7, I was number 6. Peter Magona, number 8. It is hard. It was everybody was functioning, and it was the first time we ever touched the Kenyan Park.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously over the years we have seen so many good talented players. People like Matthias Ochoa, they walk in any of those teams any day, anytime. And even take me off the captainship right now. And I'm happy to do that because I coached him at one point.
Yeah.
When you look at the Flyers, the best Flyer I ever played alongside was Victor Kalimgogo, the brother to Alex Kalimgogo. But over the years, we saw some better ones who came in through Edmond to Musime, for example. Yes. Right now, we're seeing the emergency of Ivan Maguomo. When you look at wingers, there's only Alan Musoke. Others are a bit far.
Speedster, yeah.
Alan, one time I was coaching sevens. This was on 2003 when in the UK. One time we were down by about 3 tries. Alan goes the second half and scores the 3 tries we need to beat the Young England team. And through that win, we get the first invitation to buy sevens.
Okay.
The following year in 2004, we are playing against Zimbabwe in the World Cup qualifiers, stroke Commonwealth Games. For the first time, we are playing at that level. And this is the 3rd, 4th playoff. against Zimbabwe. Alan had moved into center, and another winger, Mark Olwenyi, on the wing. Halftime we were 4 tries down. Alan halftime comes and asks me, we changed and all that stuff. I listen to Alan because I know he's genuine. We made that shift. Alan goes and scores 4 tries.
Wow.
We tie the game. We go to sudden death. He scores that try.
Wow.
We qualify to go for Commonwealth Games. So which other winger can I say?
Wow, that's a dope lineup.
That's magic.
Stars, yeah.
Yes.
Centers we have seen many. Timothy Mudola was outstanding. John Musoke, Nathan Wasolo, all outstanding. But even currently, the systems has produced so many good players. When it comes obviously to fullbacks, we have seen the Chinenes, John Musokes. Right now, everybody is bowing down to Philip Okurach.
Yeah.
You're seeing the magic he's doing for the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think
it is hard to select that team.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Those mentions are really thumbs up. Yeah.
Yeah, we might, in the interest of time, we may not be able to delve in, but I think it's a conversation that needs even a part 2.
Yeah.
But I think we shall just have to stop here for now. Yet again, I just want to say, keep it Fat Cats Rugby Podcast at our lovely venue here. For those that are watching, we appreciate. So far, we have 3 videos out, and make sure that you watch all of them. Give us your feedback. Let us know what you guys want to watch. Let us know who you guys want to see on here. And as Edwin always says, adding a feline touch to
put the feline touch to Uganda.
Rugby in Uganda. We appreciate your time here. Just coming to share with us a lot. You have been significant in our rugby journeys. Not that long as yours, but we chose to maybe take a different direction in how we can be able to contribute to the game. But we appreciate your time here. And like I was saying about our venue, Fred and Winnie B&B, you can be able to come through and have a night a week, maybe longer, depending on how long you want. But it's a serene, comfortable place that you can be able to stay. Don't forget that you can get all the updates on our social media platforms. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and let us know anything. So thank you for keeping it with us at the Fat Cats Rugby Podcast. Cheers.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Thanks for listening in. Share with us your thoughts from today's episode, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.